Happy Friday, everybody, and happy Father's Day to all the Disney dads out there this weekend. Hope you have an awesome weekend and get everything you're looking for except for a tie. We don't want ties, but if you get a tie, we're always grateful for that. We're going to have a fun show today. Scott joins me, and we're talking about all kinds of Walt Disney World queues. What's the longest queue at Walt Disney World? What's a queue we wish we could go through just one more time that is no longer around? What's the hottest queue in the summer to endure at Walt Disney World? And what about those interactive queues? Were they a success? Which ones did we enjoy? Which ones were epic fails? We're queuing it up today on the show. So if you want to think about the experience before the experience, that's what we're talking about on today's show. And then we're going to continue that on Sunday night for the BOGP Open Line. Don't forget, our podcast always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure, whether it's to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney. We'll help you with that for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details right now over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. Still time to get Dad that gift. 2-day delivery. It still comes through. Check it out over at brguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You make all these shows possible. You can support us as well, just $5 a month, and you'll get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. Come on over. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2505 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. Yes, we've made it to another weekend. Yes, we are in the middle of summer, and yes, it is smoking hot here in the Midwest. And it is Father's Day weekend. We have made it to the weekend where the dads get their 48 hours of fame, I guess we could say. So we're going to have a good one this weekend. We're going to have a great podcast for you here. And we have a dad show because Ricky and Pam are not here. It's Mike and Scott. So joining me today from up in Michigan, where the suitcases, I'm sure, are coming out. The piles are being made. And I'm sure you're going to have a good meal this weekend for Father's Day. We have Scotty G. Scott, what's up? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, and let me be the first to wish you a happy Father's Day, Mike. You're
at
a very influential father to me. Like you do it the right way, so I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. And to all fathers out there, we play important roles for sure. We get laughed at a lot. A lot of us are goofy, like me and Mike, but we're there when it matters the most for sure, though. So.
We don't know what we're doing. We make it up, but we have our hearts in the right place is what I like to say.
And we're very good at it. Me and Mike in particular are very good at embarrassing ours, especially with the vlog these days, Mike. That's the most cringe thing for Emily to see me on YouTube trying to record a video. I love it. It just makes her so mad.
So here's the deal. And Mallory told me this because, you're starting to put a lot more content out there. And of course my content's been out there for,
almost multiple decades.
I know, since 16 years at this point. And so she was in middle school and moving into high school, and the kids all have phones and they work all on laptops and stuff. And so when they have free time, apparently this was when she was in 8th grade or something, they had downtime, and so they just Google their names, right? So they're Googling each other's names and so forth. So of course, when you Google my name, so much content comes up. You hit Rallman, and there's the podcast. There's all my stupid Instagram stuff. There's dumb stuff that comes up.
It's embarrassing to almost look back at.
I know. So I feel
check videos on Instagram,
right. I know I'm doing fit checks, we've done stupid stuff, and it's I feel terrible because, of course, I do enjoy life, and I love the podcast, and I love talking Disney, and I love when I go on a cruise just to cut back and have fun because you guys know, the life is what you make it, and we have a good time, and I'm an open book. I don't hide anything from our listeners. We're all a big family. But also, when I was in middle school, just the thought of this, like I'm starting to like get hives, right? I don't like, I'm thinking of my dad. Like I would not, if even today, like my dad with a smartphone. Oh my God. Like that's like my worst nightmare. So God bless our daughters. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God.
They put up with it. I don't know how they do it too. Like, man.
Whew, that's rough. But yeah, so yeah, I'm glad they put up with it. But so yeah, shout out to all the dads. We have so many awesome dads and we all kind of bounce ideas off each other and we're all better for it. So we appreciate that. So hopefully you get more than a tie. So as a Disney dad, what is a great Disney gift to wake up to on Sunday? Like what's practical?
We don't do gifts like in our house. Like that's our thing. We just do like, I'd rather like have us go out for a nice meal. You know, we're not gift people, but I mean a good Disney, like maybe like a Disney book, like a nice Disney history book, you know, like something like a story on Walt or something. Like you kind of put me on the spot here. I had no real good answer, but I'm going to go with a Disney book. That's kind of what I would want as a dad this year.
A Disney gift card.
I mean, that's the no-brainer.
Yes, seriously. Because like,
they're talking about like, oh, let's deep dive into some history. And you're like, yeah, Disney gift card.
Well, I mean, because like guys appreciate that, right? Because you could take it and you could buy the Disney book on Disney shopping. Well, I mean, I don't even know where you use it, but yeah, maybe you apply it to your trip. You could use it for a cruise, whatever. It's practical. Put it for your next race.
Where Mike's answering the chat, like I actually seen that that guy there selling his cologne before. That stuff smells really good in Norway. So yeah, the cologne in Norway, that would be a great gift for sure.
That reminds me of the story with our good friend Wade up in Nebraska, who apparently knows the guy in Italy that sells the cologne, which I thought was pretty sweet.
Well, it was the best over Marathon weekend. We're like our what's the counter service in America? The Regal Eagle. Like our order is ready and all that, and like Wade's still talking to the guy. We're like, yeah, Wade, we're gonna go get the food. And then he comes back with the guy. Like they did a walk and talk over to American Pavilion. Like I loved it. It was awesome.
Wade is fun to hang out with. Actually, I think that same day Wade was speaking with who's the lady from the tequila bar in
Hilda.
Hilda. He was hanging out with Hilda in La Cava.
Dude, yeah,
we had
talking
a day.
About that.
Yeah,
we were talking about that. Is it like Bombero? Like Wade sent me the tequila bottle. It's awesome. And he was asking if they were going to get it in there and all that. He gave her like all the information. So she's going to research it. Who knows? They might have it on the shelf.
Who knows? Yeah, it's wild. We had a day. I mean, the thing is, and again, we're going to get to the cues here, but that's what I love about Walt Disney World, right? It wasn't about going on Frozen Ever After. As fun as that attraction was, we probably did it that day. We probably did Soarin'. We probably did Test Track and, Spaceship Earth and so forth. But in between those times, being with friends, and again, our friends, because of this show, Wade's in Lincoln, Nebraska, you're up in Michigan, I'm in St. Louis, and we have friends that are from places, we see Cheryl sometimes, she's in Switzerland, we have friends from all over the world, and the only time we get to hang out is at Walt Disney World, and sometimes at Disneyland or on a cruise, but it's like going down to the corner pub for like normal people in life, right? That's, it's like a Friday night for everybody else when they go down to their corner pub. That's us, hanging out at La Cava. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're talking about queues, but I didn't even think about like restaurant queues or counter service queues sometimes. Cause like La Cava, like you often have to queue up to go there. That's kind of funny. I didn't even think about that.
Oh my gosh.
Episode.
Oh my gosh. Look, and so we got all kinds of folks talking about, that cologne in Norway.
Yeah, it's so good. And like that guy is normally there. Like he's awesome to talk to. I chatted with him before. Like I'm no Wade Anderson, but I did talk to that guy before.
So it's called Giernes. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's him. Yeah.
Oh, that's a guy. That's the Giernes is a guy. And that's the name of the cologne as well. And from Norway.
It smells so good.
I mean, it must smell good. It sounds fancy. I mean, I'm more of I just wear the cheap stuff. Old Spice.
That's okay.
All right.
That is A-okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're talking about cues today,
Let's talk about cues. So today we're just going to have a Father's Day weekend kind of show here. Here's what I was thinking. We'll go back and forth and just throw something out. Like, okay, I'll throw the first topic out. A cue from the past you wish that you could experience one more time. And so just what comes off the top of your head. So we're not going to do this formally. We're not going to like think about it too much. We're not thinkers, like we're not researching. But like, you don't have to like this doesn't have to be the best answer in the world. I have one that I think was kind of fun. It's kind of annoying.
I have one
actually.
Too that I kind of like too. Yeah.
So what do you think?
So you do the question to me. I'm going to go.
And we'll go back and
test
forth.
track 1.0.
Dude, that was mine. Dude.
Oh,
you got it. This is why we're brothers though, because like I remember, so I picture the music that and the one thing I hated, the one part of the cue that I hate, that's when I had the conversations about the cues. That's the whole point. Yeah. So there was those the crash test dummies, and they would hit that one right in the knee. And I swear it made my eyes water when I'd see that, because I have a thing with knees. Like when I sleep at night, this is too much information, but I have a knee pillow because I don't like my knees touching each other or my elbows when I sleep. And so God, that hammer would hit that knee and I couldn't even watch it. Like it would just make my knees hurt. Oh, but that was the worst. But yeah, same.
I love the background and and I think comparing it to the cue that there is today, it's just that's why I miss it so much, and I wish they'd bring it back. Like the current test track, which I know is about to go under refurbishment here soon. I liked it like the first time because it was cool, like seeing the cars and like they talk about the video, like they interview like all the there's like kids talking about what they like about cars. Like I was like, yeah, this is so cool. But it was almost like a one and done for me. You know what I mean? And like now I'm just like, I just want to get through this dang queue. You know what I mean?
Same.
Where like the test track one, I just like was engaged with it. And even though I only did it twice, Mike, it was our first trip in 2011. Emily was a tall 3-year-old. She got to actually ride it twice. And then it went to refurb for the new one. So I only got to experience it 2 times, but I loved it, Mike. It was such a great queue.
And I guess we could say like Q Extended is the pre-show. That pre-show was pretty epic with like Felicia Rashad like in there. Because wasn't she part of it too? Like because she was in
No, she's in Dinosaur. It was another lady. I can't remember who they were.
She wasn't in that one too though? She was in Dinosaur, you're right. But she's in
Dinosaur? I don't think it's
but I just liked how they would say, pull up. My favorite line was like, test 3, 6, and 7. And they'd be like, 7? Yeah, 7.
Yeah, and you'd hear that on Magic Mouse Radio.
Oh, man, I miss Magical Mouse Radio so much. Oh, my gosh, yeah. So that was a cue that I wish we could go back to. Because, I mean, you snake through there, but there was a lot to see. And also, my father-in-law was a mechanic, and like his garage had a lot of those. I mean, because they were like real, like Mac cases or whatever the brand was. I mean, that stuff was real. He had that stuff. So that was one. Okay, so we both agreed on that one. So we have the same one. But okay, give us another topic or thing to look for.
Okay, we kind of talked about this on Wednesday, so I feel like we gotta discuss it. What is the hottest queue, Mike, at Walt Disney World? And there could be a lot of these really, but what's one that comes to mind?
So we did talk. So I'm going to throw out the one we mentioned and we'll just kind of discard this one. So hottest, I'm going to say like in the summer, most uncomfortable, Toy Story Mania. Like, cause that one, it's better than it used to be. Like at first, when it first came out, they didn't even have like hardly any covering. Now they've put covering on it and it was like brutal in the summer. So
and they've had some good fans once you like get to like the lightning lane, like where it kind of splits off, like it gets a little bit more comfortable, but like it's the build up to that, right? It's
but a lot of times, like if there's a long line, like that line will go like way out into like not even
like where the Woody, like where the Woody statue is.
It'll go like way out into the land. Like so that one's hot. I'm trying to think. Okay, so hottest queue besides that one, I'm gonna say, man, this is fun. So play along with us and come over to the clubhouse and
I got one if you're thinking. So
okay, go ahead and do yours.
I threw the question to you though. So
no, it's good. No, go ahead because I'll think of something besides yours.
So this is one I think of as the hottest because there's a certain part of this queue where you get near the end and there is no airflow at all, and it is just brutal. And that's Big Thunder Mountain. I think is one of the hottest because you know what I mean when you get inside and you split the lineup in two, and you're just standing there waiting to get on, and there's no air movement, and it just gets so steamy to me. That is actually one of the most uncomfortable moments I ever had in a queue, to be honest, is in Big Thunder because there's no fans, there's no breeze, it is just you're just dripping in sweat.
I wonder if Tiana's is going to be like that because Splash was pretty uncomfortable too. Yeah, like towards the end. Now there was like a section though, like on the old Splash where you got hit with like a good dose of air conditioning right before You kind of went
like
down
like in the cave, kind of.
yeah, before you started going down, there was like, oh man, I made it to the air. There was ice cold air conditioning. Like, oh my God, it brought me back to life. It was like a resuscitation.
Yeah.
Because you were like burning up before that. But then you were hot after that.
I just remember being there for like a 24-hour day, even like, and it's like 5:55 a.m. You know, park closes at 6. Everyone's like zombies. Everyone's like half asleep, and none of us could breathe because it was so darn hot in that queue. Like, I don't know what it is, man. But Big Thunder Mountain just like tears me up. I mean, I love it. I mean, it's worth it to be in that queue. But like in the middle of a summer on a humid day, like, man, you have no chance.
The safari queue can be hot though too, because that's outside. I mean, it's you're not in direct sun because it's always covered, but it's like dude, the humidity back there, like on a super hot, like just the humidity. For some reason, I've gotten like really hot back there, especially if you go like late morning. Whew,
yeah,
that one can be jungly.
And we talked about Mickey's Runaway Railway on Wednesday too, because I think that first half of that queue, that was some of the hottest I've ever been in a queue before. Like in the pandemic, you know, when we're in masks and you're social distancing. So like you're outside for like so much of that. Ooh.
Yeah. So
in the middle of the day in the summer, you do not want to be standing there.
I remember, because I think I was with you that day. Like during the pandemic, man, they moved, like, because they separated you out so far. Yeah. I swear they made that queue that day like 2 miles long. Like, I am not kidding with the zigzags and they people 6 feet apart. I wish I'd had a pedometer.
And then you would always know, because like they would clean the ride vehicles. Remember, they would like hose them down and all that. And then you would just stand
I
there
totally
and not
forgot
move
about that
for like 10 minutes. You're like, oh, they must be doing a change, but like I just want to move.
I forgot about that. Yeah, because it would just like everybody would lock up there. Yeah, and it was like, oh, they're recycling, they're cleaning off the vehicle. Man, the things you forget.
Oh yeah, we got a great one in the chat though for hot ones, and that's the Tomorrowland Speedway. That is brutally hot.
That might be it, because that
might be the winner. Honestly.
And I've told the story on the show before the very first podcast cruise. This one got me, dude. I left the Magic Kingdom in a wheelchair because I was there the night before the podcast cruise. We had done a huge group dinner at Wilderness Lodge at Whispering Canyon, dude. I ate way too much. It was in July. It was like 100 degrees, super hot summer night. I was like, let's go to the Magic Kingdom and try to ride a few rides. Stupid. So went over there, I'd eaten all the meats at Wilderness Lodge and had that big soda. Like, you know how they give you the mason jar, but it's like the huge, it's like a 2-liter mason jar. Had like, you know, drank that whole thing of soda, and it was probably regular Coke. Went over to the Magic Kingdom, and it was just so steamy and hot that night. So we waited in line to ride Tomorrowland Speedway, suck in all the gas fumes. Get on there. I tell my wife, I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm going to pass out. I'm so hot. I'm just dead. And so we waited in line forever, rode the dumb cars, went around, and I stumble into the Tomorrowland restrooms there. And I just told her, I'm like, I texted her on my old Nokia phone. This was pre-iPhone days. And I didn't even get the whole text out. I was like, I think and then I like tailed off on the text, and she thought I died in the bathroom, sent somebody in. Like, somebody came in with a wheelchair and they wheeled me out of the Magic Kingdom. Like, Pam ended up wheeling me. She wheeled me, no kidding, from Tomorrowland. We were parked at the Wilderness Lodge. We had a rental car. Or no, we drove that time because I was scared to fly still. So we had our car, our Trailblazer, at the Wilderness Lodge. God bless her. I can't believe I'm still married to her. She puts up with so much stuff. She wheeled me all the way from Tomorrowland back across the boat at the Magic Kingdom over to Wilderness Lodge. And you know how there's a big hill and stuff at Wilderness Lodge? All the way hills there. Yeah, to the parking lot and everything to our car. And so the whole next day, they're like, have you been sick in the last 24 hours? When I got to the cruise, I'm like, dude, I'm cruising with like 120 listeners. No, I'm good. Because I really wasn't sick. I was just like, I got heat exhaustion and I got like gasoline fume killer. Yeah. You win. Jason's right. The Speedway. Okay, what do you think, though, if you had to put, like, pedometer to it, what do you think is the longest queue at Walt Disney?
Longest queue? Wow. Oh, man, I'm trying to think. There's so many, like, I mean, I know what my Disneyland longest queue would be.
Yeah, we all know that's Indy, right?
Indiana Jones, without a doubt.
They should have a 5K in that sucker.
Yeah. You know, you don't think this as the longest queue, but it always feels very long to me. And I'm going to go with Cali River Rapids. I feel like is a very long queue. and I don't know if it's because the ride is so short.
Yes.
I feel like my wait, like the time of length I've walked to do the ride, like is equal distance. It feels like that way sometimes. But I'm gonna go with Cali River Rapids because I feel like it's an awesome queue too. By the way, like it, like it's very detailed.
Yep.
Lots of stuff to look at, but I feel like it never ends. It is just so darn long.
I would say it's that one or Nemo at Epcot.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that one, I feel like you're never getting there. Like at least, but it's comfortable, right? Because it's dark.
If
and
we're gonna do like the coldest queue, like that's
I agree. That one is probably the coldest and most comfortable in the summer, but it is long. Like I don't know, like they expected that thing to have like 750,000 people in line at all times. Like they made that thing so long, but it is like you get your steps in for that one. But I think Cali might be longer, but that one,
and
like if you had like ratio.
That's why I can't wait. Actually, the Safari might be the longest one. Now that I think about it, that thing is very long. Yeah.
I think though, like Nemo for like expectation to the queue length, like they missed it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of those, like they made the queue so stinking long for like a little attraction. Yeah. I don't get that. Like that
I keep thinking about this. Like I want to take back my answer because like Flight of Passage is a very long queue as well.
Yeah, but that makes sense though. Like this is a good category too. Like Flight of Passage should have a long queue. It's a big e-ticket attraction. That makes sense. Are there any other, let's think about this real quick. Are there any other attractions that have obnoxiously long queues for like a small payoff like attraction? Like similar to Nemo. I mean, Nemo's a good ride, but it's like not a, it's a smaller attraction. I'm trying to think like what else.
The what I would call a very similar ride in the Magic Kingdom, Little Mermaid, like under the journey.
Yeah.
That is actually a very awesome queue too. But
But
like I feel like you are just going and going and going and going, and then it's it's the same, very similar ride that you would have in Nemo. I feel like that is a very long queue as well.
Okay, real quick, I'll give one more kind of a side one there before I do yours. Where's the queue better than the attraction? Is there anything there? Or at least maybe the
Cali River Rapids.
maybe where the queue maybe equals the attraction.
Man, that's a really great question. Because there's so many like great themed queues. That was going to be like one of my topics, so I won't go into that one now because like I have a great themed queue, but the attraction just matches it, So I wouldn't even know. I almost wouldn't say
because the attractions are going to always, I mean, pretty much always beat the. But I mean, okay, so skip that for now. Go ahead, go with your.
We'll think about it as we're talking about these. We'll come up
because we just want to talk about queues. Yeah.
So you talked about Nemo, and I said like, oh man, that could be the coldest, and I like the way you worded it. You said most comfortable, so I want to go with like what's a very comfortable, like any time of year, maybe like in the summer, like it's 100-degree day, but you're feeling comfortable in this queue. So what's a comfortable queue for you, Mike?
Oh, this one's easy. This is one of my favorite queues. I love this queue. I just love diving in Space Mountain. I love it.
Oh gosh,
because it's dark. It's always the same temperature, and it's that music is so soothing. I love those horns. All the do 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 do. Like it calls to me, like Moana to the ocean, dude. That music is just, I don't know, like it takes me back. It's me.
I stop doing whatever I'm doing if I'm like not there. Like if I'm just sitting here and like it pops up for like on a playlist or whatever, like I just sit there and smile and just think about, man, Space Mountain, like Disney memories, like that little passage is just so good.
At this point, maybe that queue, like maybe the Star Tunnel might be better than the attraction because the attraction beats the crud out of me anymore. Like I like the attraction, right? I still like the attraction. I'm joking, but I love just the experience of just being in there. Like it's comfortable.
That's got to be another topic we can throw out. Best like queue music background.
Yeah, we could.
Because I mean, it's probably Space Mountain though, because every part of that tunnel is so good. Because like it changes as you go through it too a little bit. Like do 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 do. Yeah. You got the trumpet passage.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah. So what about you though? What would you say?
So this is an interesting one because the queue itself. That's why I like the way you said comfortable because it's just a switchback. There is no theme at all. You are just switching back the whole time. But to me, it's very comfortable. And that is Spaceship Earth because you got the like the breeze tunnel, like the breezeway in there. And like, it could be 110 degrees and I'm outside and I am always comfortable in that because you catch an awesome breeze and I don't mind waiting in that line. And as you know, it is very boring because it's just switching back. There's nothing happening there, but I'm always super comfortable in that queue.
Except I agree. Except for like that one, there's like one out and back on the far like right side.
If you're facing like that,
like the land on the land side, yeah. But you're right. But you're right because you're in a wind tunnel and you get an awesome breeze. No, you're right. And the queue used to be more on the left side, but now it's kind of more on the right.
I think because that's kind of more like the
it's lightning lane or something now. Yeah, and I'm cheap, so I don't buy it.
But it's
like
weird. There's no queue. I mean, it's just concrete. There's nothing. I mean, but I like the view of Spaceship Earth, and you can see the palm tree and all that. I love that queue, even though there's nothing really going on there, and it's so comfortable to me.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think. So, which queue? I'm trying to think what topic I want to do next. So, somebody's asking, Catherine over in the clubhouse, which is your favorite queue that changes for the holidays? So, like, they add stuff to it. And I can only think of a couple. Obviously, there's one main one.
The Jingle Cruise one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too. Yeah.
That's an obvious one.
But I don't
know. I don't know if a lot of them change that much during the holidays.
Does Toy Story Land do anything for their queues? Because they have the Christmas lights up year round in the land. That's kind of the decoration all year round.
Yeah, but I don't know if the queue changes that much.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I'm trying to think though, because that's a good question. I'm trying to think where queues.
I wish we would see more stuff like that.
I agree because I think they'd be easier to change.
Right. I mean, you just put a couple like scarves or like hats on something, you know. Like I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's doable. But yeah, that's a great. Now it's got me thinking. Now
me too.
Now I want to go like 3028 and go deep into like.
I know.
I want to dive into the topic and research it. You know.
I was trying to think about that. I was like, yeah, because I mean, Jingle Cruise, because they do it so stinking well. Like it's almost like you got to ride it because you want to go through the queue. Like you want to see, okay, what are the nods? What's changed? You know, what do they put a hat on, or what? You know, what do they do here?
Right.
Yeah, totally. All right, so
I'm going to give you a land.
Okay.
And you tell me your favorite queue, and there's an obvious answer. Maybe you'll go with it, and now I'll have to struggle with an answer. But what is your favorite queue in Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland?
Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland favorite queue. Oh man. Well, now it didn't used to be with Peter Pan. Because when they added that, it got 10 times better. And it used to be this, which is ironic because it used to be the worst, right?
It used to be the worst.
It used to be terrible. But when they added that, you know, visiting the room and all the interactive features there, that's way better. Now they made Winnie the Pooh better too over the years. I'm not a big fan of touching the
I love the Winnie. That's what I love about the queues, like when you have some interaction things in it. Like I'm not necessarily going to touch those things, but like I like the interaction. Maybe we talk about this as a topic too. Let's hold off on that. Let's talk about interactive cubes in a second, maybe. But we were talking Fantasyland, and yeah, the Peter Pan one's funny. It's just funny for years. It's still kind of true. Like I would never see the update because I would always like Fast Pass or or Lightning Lane because like I don't want to wait 75 minutes in that line. But my hack for that is like the after hours or extended evening hours. That's when I'll wait in that queue because there is no Fast Pass or Lightning Lanes happening, and then you get to see the awesome queue. For mine, since you took mine, it was the obvious answer, but I wanted to talk about this queue because I knew you were going to do that. I love the PhilharMagic queue. As weird as that is, because you don't want to be like deep into that queue because like, holy cow, like this is a show, and like how many people are waiting to watch this? How many times are going to sit through this? But I just love seeing like the posters, right? Like they're like they're cool posters, and I love music. You know, my daughter is a musician too, so we love music, and like it's just cool seeing like all the Disney characters like with like funny like made up musicals or whatever. Like they're playing these instruments, and then you actually once you get your glasses, you're in that queue area, and there's like cool like instrument things happening over there too. So I really like the PhilharMagic queue, I think, and it's comfortable, right? It's very cool in there.
It is. That's super underrated, right? I mean, most people aren't going to say that one, but it is if you take the time. And people just rush and pass that one. Like nobody looks at those posters. I mean,
yeah. I want to own some. I want some art pieces of those posters. I think they're so good.
That is a good one. Yeah, Fantasyland. I mean, because if you think about it, even like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is a great queue. You talked about you talked about the interactive queues, which was like 10 years ago. That was like they're really trying to push these interactive queues. Haunted Mansion. When I went down for the media event, and that was all they talked about for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train was how they're going to have the jewels, like the colored water. Yeah, they talked about that as much as the attraction itself when they spoke to us about it. You know, that you could spin the barrel, and that was something to do to pass your time so that you didn't think about how long the line was going to be. The honey wall over at Winnie the Pooh. There were other things that some of them kind of came and went. There were like some like pads that kids could jump on or something. Think about Space Mountain. We were talking about the Star Tunnel. Remember, they used to have the video games in there. Now, see, those were kind of hampered the experience, though, because I like the Star Tunnel because it's kind of tranquil. And also, it was weird because if you were playing the video games, like, you didn't want to pass people. Like, I didn't understand, like, the etiquette. Like, if somebody's in the middle of a good game, do you pass them? Do you wait?
I know, like,
I didn't know.
They're in front of me, but
right.
Yeah, that's always tough. You know what? My theory on the interactive queues and how it's, like, not talked about as much anymore is because of that Play Disney app. Like, you can just be in a queue and get out your smartphone and you can do some kind of interactive thing. Kind of, it's mostly like trivia or like little games on your phone. Yeah. That was going to be one of I love the Soarin' trivia when you go through there, but now you can get out your phone and do the Play Disney and you're doing stuff. So like, I feel like they're trying to draw you to that, which is kind of a bummer because you and I say this all the time. Like, we work, we're on our phones all the time for work and emailing and all that. Like, I kind of don't want to have my phone out when I'm on vacation. Like, but we all fall into it. I've seen your family do it. My family does it too. We get our phones out when we're in the queue and we're not talking to each other. And like, what are we doing? We should be like interacting, and that's why I wish they had more interacting things in the queues instead of like trying to actually direct you to your phone,
So on that though, which of those interactive things is the biggest win and which one's the biggest fail? Do you think? Like, let's go both ways of where they added interactive stuff. Because you got Mansion, they added those, those things, those features.
I honestly think the Soarin' one is a fail because I never see anyone doing the trivia, and you kind of like. I mean, it's only like in the beginning of the queue. You're right. Like once you actually. And that part is always faster to me. Once you get to the concourses, the queue really slows down, and then there's no interaction. Like that's kind of like where I would rather have it, but I don't know how they can do it. But I just feel like that almost fails. Like we always look at it and we're like, oh yeah, it's answer B, Egypt or whatever, as we walk by. But we never actually play the game.
And they're pretty hard questions too. I mean,
they are.
They're not easy.
No, not at all. Yeah. So what do you think is like what do you think was kind of a bust with interactive queues?
I thought those video games were kind of a bust because in Space Mountain, because they were like so like low fidelity, like so low quality that it was hard to compete because everybody with their smartphone in their hand was going to have 10 times the selection, 10 times the quality of games right there in their hand. And of course they can't do that at scale. I mean, and again, maybe it was supposed to look that way to meet the aesthetic of the Star Tunnel, possibly. But again, it was that whole thing of etiquette in the lines. Like, was I supposed to pass people? Was I not? Like, I hated that. Like, I didn't want people held up if they were jamming out on the game. Sure. I didn't like that. And it seemed like they abandoned the whole Haunted Mansion interactive stuff like right away. Like you were walking through there and then all of a sudden it became optional, I think, for a while. And then all of a sudden you just didn't go over there, which some of the stuff was cool, but it seemed like it was meant a lot of it for like 6-year-olds, like just just a lot of it was
or 40-year-olds because I love like touching like the.
It was like just like a lot of kids banging on stuff, it's like just hammer on things, just like slamming stuff, like see what happens.
I love it. I love playing with that one. that one's a lot of fun.
Like for me. I just hammer on stuff, see what happens. I don't know, but it was it gave you something to do. That was the point. But then they kind of abandoned it.
And then like the queue etiquette is interesting. You keep going back to the Space Mountain one, like. I see it in other queues too, where they're not even an interactive thing. Like I think a pirate's queue, like there's cool like cannons to look at or touch, and then you see like the different pirates. There's like that awesome like famous like chess scene where it's like in stalemate, like there's no move you can make. Like it's fun to like look at that stuff, and like someone will kind of go over and look at it, and you don't want to like pass them. Like you want them to enjoy the queue, but like, well, I've seen that 30 times, and I'm in a hurry today. Like, what do you do? Like so. And I always wait for them, but then I always worry that the person behind me then is gonna fly past. That's always my biggest problem.
That's such a great point too, because I mean the thing is, you're probably not gaining anything, you know what I'm saying? Because you're going to move up 15 feet, but you're not getting on the attraction. You're still probably 15 minutes from getting on the attraction. So why not let somebody who might be their very first time going to Walt Disney World, and maybe they just saw the Pirates of the Caribbean movie on Disney Plus, and they're astonished by, like you said, those two pirates sitting there in stalemate, watch it. They want to appreciate it. Like, that's what they're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be appreciating it, and the rest of us are trying to push past.
And I love it. I want that to happen. But again, like, it's just, I don't want the person on me getting on my neck, you know, like, oh, well, why aren't you moving up? Like, that's when it gets dicey for me.
It does.
Then I feel like, well, I have to pass them, though. I don't want to pass them.
Okay, so give another topic, and then here, because, you know, I want to wrap this up, but I want to continue this on Sunday night as people call in, and also in the clubhouse over the weekend, because I think this is one that we could do many shows on, and we continue. But I also want us to kind of come up with the best three, kind of, because we still have some aces in the hole here that we haven't even talked about.
We definitely have, yeah.
And but give us like maybe one more kind of crazy outlier topic that we could go with for cues here. What do you got?
Could I do a because I know we focus on Walt Disney World the most. Could we just do any Disney property cue?
Yeah,
like
I know
what
you
is
want to go Disneyland probably.
So just I actually am not going to go Disneyland to surprise you.
Okay,
but so I'm going to go with just a general, like, hey, I really like this queue. It's not at Walt Disney World, and you're going to see it very soon. Like, I love the aqueduct queue, as weird as that sounds. It's blazing hot. You know, you're on the deck, but like it tells like the story of the ride, you know, and like you learn about like Donald's nephews and how they built it. Like, I just love that kind of storytelling, like in a queue. And I know we see that at Walt Disney World, Disneyland a lot too, but I love that they brought that to sea as well. Like the coaster that they have on the ships, on the Dream and the Fantasy, the Aqueduct. And I just love that it almost feels like you're at Walt Disney World almost when you're in that line from a storytelling, you know what I mean on that?
Yeah. And they do that on the Wish too, with the mouse, the Aqua Mouse.
Yeah.
But
that's right. I didn't do the Aqua Mouse. So I didn't,
right. But the only thing when you say that, man, I just think about, oh my gosh, so many times my feet have been just scarred because I'm just trying to like, you take off your Crocs or whatever shoes you have on. You're like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice my epidermis for this.
They need
ride.
like 10 cast members with a hose, just hosing.
Yes, they do. Okay, 3, 2, 1, until you get over to, until it's a shade. Yeah. It's just, oh my, if you know, you know. No, but you're exactly right, because it tells like the nephews and how it all happened, and it's just storytelling.
It's just fun for me as parks fans when you're on the ship and you see like you do like the ride like on the Wish too, like you were talking about, and it's like, oh wow, they're like kind of doing this similar theming that they do on land, and I just think that's kind of cool. Yeah,
because it could have just been a coaster, right? And no, it's storytelling. It tells
it's Disney.
The story.
They're gonna tell the story.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's good stuff. Okay, so this is gonna be debatable, but okay, let's try to come up with our top 3 cues at Walt Disney World currently. I'll submit one that we haven't even mentioned. I can't believe this one. We've made it 35 minutes into the show. We've not even said this one. Can you believe it? Yeah. Muppets. Dude, it is so, I mean, not just the pre-show. The pre-show is epic, but the queue is awesome. I mean, as soon as you go there, there's the key under the mat sometimes, and there's so many sight gags as you go through this queue. Problem is, I think that A, lot of people don't even go on this attraction anymore, don't see the show. And B, if you do, you're just like whoosh, right into the pre-show room. But if you slow down and look, there's doors, there's windows, there's all the words in the windows, and there's, like I said, there's so many posters. And there used to be where you waited outside. There was an outside part of the queue, and it had the best posters.
Those posters are so
there
good.
Were epic. Yeah.
We went through that we talked about the pandemic on the extended lines on a Rise of the Resistance. We were in that queue. As crazy as that sounds.
Yes, we did.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, that's great. I always actually think of you when I enter that queue, because there's like the brick like with that arch, and like, you can tell like a tall person like hit their head like on the brick. I always think of you because you're tall.
Sweetums. So I always think of Sweetums. Yeah.
Yeah. I always think like, oh, Mike was here every time I see that. Just ask the girls. I always say it.
That's funny.
So I have 3 written down. A couple of them I'm afraid you're going to take. But so I'm going to go with one of those. And like, I love Expedition Everest.
Yes. Queue. Yes, I agree.
And you know what's fun about this queue? So you like go through this, and like, I mean, there's some switchbacks, right? But like when you get to like, I call it like the Yeti Museum, like you see,
yeah.
The Yeti Museum is so cool. Like you're looking out at the stuff. I always joke with the girls about the scat because
Yes.
they have like the elephant scat or tiger scat and all that. We always joke about that. But one thing I've always appreciated about this queue is like back in the fast pass days or the lightning lane, you know, like you're like always like bummed, like, oh man, I'm gonna miss the queue because the queue is so awesome. They do like a condensed version of that queue. And 100%. I think that is unbelievable. He had like the mini version of the Yeti Museum. And I've always appreciated that. Like just clever thinking by Disney to offer that for those that are doing the short version of the line.
Yeah, that was Joe Rohde at his best, right? Because this was like Joe Rohde in his prime, like doing the great Imagineering. And that was exactly it, right? Because that was one of the things you always sacrificed back in the day with Fast Pass, right? For the most part, you got to get on the experience, but you gave up the details of the queue, which I always was fine with for the most part. Yeah. But that queue was so awesome. But you're right, you got a Fast Pass. But what I always told my wife was you got the Cliff Notes version of the yes. museum. Because, you know, exactly. Like in high school, I did use Cliff Notes sometimes, you know, I'll admit it. You know, but that's why I was like, well, we get to see the museum and we get to see the highlights, you know, and that's good enough for me because I don't want to wait 2 hours because back in the day it was 2 hours. And, right. You know, you didn't miss the whole experience. Yeah, you got more of the experience if you're in the longer line, but that was right. You didn't feel like you were cheated out of the whole experience. And that was a great way to do it. Yeah, good point.
All right, what do you got? So you did Muppets. What's your next one?
Well, so, you know, I'm going to go with the listeners here that are in with us. And Vero Mike, I'll give his because I kind of agree with this. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the newest
That's one on my list.
Yeah, and I mean, they really, visually, this is amazing. It's because it's got nods to some of the props from the movies. You got those like display cases showing, you know, the characters and some of the stuff, the uniforms, but you also have that big, like kind of swirly, like atrium. It's kind of like a planetarium as you enter, as you're circling with the planet up top. It's visual. It's very cold. It's very comfortable. There's just a lot to see. There's a lot going on that gets you into the pre-show. I think this is, it's obviously a people eater because it has to be, but there's a lot going on and it really kind of leads up. The experience starts as soon as you enter the building. I like this one.
Yeah. And I love the storytelling in there. So they do like the interviews, right? So they're interviewing the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I know you're not familiar with them, but yeah, and it is so entertaining. Like I'm the guy that's like stopped, you know, and people are wondering, is that guy ever going to move? Cause I'm just like watching the interviews and like the one with Star-Lord too, where he's like, I can't wait to get back to Epcot and do veggie fruit, you know, or ride, you know, Horizons. Like, and then I'll like look around and like some people are like not understanding that, or a couple of people are like laughing or bump their like partner with them. I'm like, oh, okay, they're Epcot veterans. They know they know what he's talking about. Because like half the people are like veggie fruit. What is he even talking about? So that I think is so hilarious because he hasn't been to Epcot since like 1980s, you know. So and just like all the interviews and then the pre-shows are like two of the best pre-shows that there are. Those things are so good. So yeah, Guardians was on my list. That might actually be my number one. It is so darn good.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of the attraction. I know it's a great attraction. I'm a fan of the attraction. It's not a fan of me. So okay, give yours. Go ahead.
So here's one I think it's forgotten about now because of Galaxy's Edge a little bit, but I think Star Tours is actually a pretty cool queue.
It is. It is.
Because you're seeing like, well, when you're outside walking in, what do they call it, like that? AT-ATs or whatever.
And you're in the Forest of Endor. Yeah.
Yeah. Like how cool is, you know your Star Wars way more than me, but yeah, so that's super cool. And then once you get in there, there's just like C3 is out there, you know, you see all these cool interaction things. Like, I don't know, like, I think that's a fun queue and it's comfortable. It's cool in there. So I think it's like a forgotten queue that I think is good just because of Rise and all that and the Millennium Falcon or whatever that's called, Smuggler's Run. So I'm going to give Star Tours some love. I think it's a really good queue.
Yep. And we've given 3 and we got to wrap because we're getting a little long here, but also I want to say Lisa down in Mobile, Alabama, she throws Pandora, which Pandora's a great queue. It's got a lot going on, but that actor that does the pre-show kills me, dude. He kills me with that one line
and,
where he says,
"Fly."
Yeah, because he acts like he doesn't know what's going on, dude. It just cracks me up every time. I don't know why. Vera Mike also comes in with the 3 Caballeros. I think it's an underappreciated queue. Again, it's switchbacks, but it's kind of cute. It's not. It's old school.
Yeah. What we're trying to say, we don't want to list. We've listed like 40 attractions.
Yeah, we have. But that's. But if you can appreciate the queues, how much more pleasant of an experience you're going to have at Walt Disney World?
Exactly. And like you can just tell how queues have evolved. Like you look at it's a small world. It's just a switchback, nothing exciting. That's how Dumbo used to be, but now they've added that like little play area, which I never see open, I feel like, anymore these days. But they tried something there, like they're always trying. They know the lines are going to be long. They know there's going to be kids in there wanting to be getting their hands on stuff and doing interactive things. And I just appreciate that and the storytelling so much. And most importantly, I appreciate the air conditioning because it is hot in Florida and you need some AC while you're waiting in those lines.
Dumbo was such an upgrade because when Dumbo used to be out in the middle of Fantasyland, because that was when Mallory was just like a little baby. I remember like that was the first ride we had to take her on, right? She was just like a little baby. And we waited, and I remember covering her up so the sun didn't get her because you're in the blazing sun, and we took her on that. It was just so brutal standing out there just waiting. And now, you do the pager thing, you're covered up, it's air conditioned. Oh, that's such an improvement. Such an improvement.
So good.
We are so spoiled. All right. So, Magic Carpet Guy says, we haven't seen this one yet. Mickey and Minnie's queue at Disneyland. Yeah, that one's really nice. Yeah.
I mean, there are hundreds of Easter eggs in that queue too. So like lots of things to look at. And like, if you're a big Disney fan, you can appreciate a lot of stuff in that queue. That's a great one.
We'll have to come back to this show.
You and Jason got to get out there and go to Disneyland.
Totally. We're gonna have to come back and do this show for Disneyland.
Yeah.
We could do that because that'd be fun. All right, so we're going to jump out of here and wish everybody a happy Father's Day. Have fun. Grill. Do whatever you like. Play golf. Just get ready. Get ready to go. He's going to play golf.
I'm redeeming a Christmas present from my brother. He got me a golf certificate to this course. I know we're about to wrap up, but when I graduated high school, 3-ish years ago, he was going to get me this golf certificate to play this course, but instead he's like, no, I'll get him $100 in scratch off lottery tickets. Mike, I won $2 on those scratch off tickets. So 23 years later, my brother is paying me back. He's like, he did it for Christmas last year. Like, we're going to play the Polecat in the summer of 2024. And that's where we're going on Father's Day. It's 22 years in the making. We're supposed to play this course, and it's finally going to happen this weekend.
Is this a tough course?
Yeah, I think so. It's supposed to be really, I mean, I don't know how nice it is now, but like if it's improved at all, but like 20 years ago, like this was like the hot course to play like in our area. It's where Central Michigan, the Chips play in Mount Pleasant. So it's about an hour away from us. So we got to do a little bit of a hike, but really excited to play it this weekend.
Right. Good luck. Pack a extra bunch of balls.
Sleeves. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll bring the ball.
All right. Well, good luck and have fun. Happy Father's Day to you, brother.
You too, Mike.
All right. Don't forget our show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan the next Disney vacation. Get Dad a vacation to get him a cruise. He'd like that. Trust me. I promise you that. Or trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World. They'd fine with any of those. Just swing by themagicforless.com. We'd love to help you plan the next trip. No additional cost to use. All the details right now over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. If you're like me, now's the time to get that Father's Day gift. It's Friday, Father's Day Sunday, 2-day delivery, no sweat. Just use that link, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys make this show possible. So a huge thank you to you throughout the year. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And you'll get our bonus show called Mike in the Midwest coming over this week, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. We'll see you Sunday night, Father's Day evening. 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, the BOGP open line. It's Scott and I taking your calls. We'll continue this conversation about queues or anything you want to talk about. So give us a holler on Sunday night, all the places. And until then, we'll continue the conversation in the BOGP Clubhouse 24/7. Listeners from all around the world. We love talking Disney. We love talking about our lives, just kind of all hanging out as a virtual. It's like our virtual pub. We just hang there and talk about life and Disney and everything else. Coming over, it's beourguestpodcast.com/Discord. All right, time to get out of here, and we'll all get back together on Sunday night. But until then, we wish you a very happy Father's Day and a great weekend. So you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.